Okay, that's the wrong presentation. You have to change for the other one, please. So I'm Remi Burgel from B2Expand, and I'm actually the smart contract developer at B2Expand, and today I will talk about how I find a solution to put some user experience in my smart contracts. Because today a lot of blockchain application ask for the user to own a token, specifically on Ethereum. On Ethereum, there were a lot of ICO in the last year, and each ICO asked for his specific token, while actually Ethereum have already his own token, so called Ether. So you need to your user will need to have their token, your token actually, from your ICO, and Ether to pay from every transaction fees. So the problem is that you're actually buying token and buying Ether is actually quite complicated for your user. So it could be great to improve that, and this is what I did for our application Nexarium, which is our shop for our company, selling, for example, assets from Beyond the Void or game. So I'm a bit sad because the presentation isn't coming in, but so yeah. Currently, there is a lot of different problems with transaction on Ethereum. First of all, they exist. Actually, the transaction have actual fees, and these fees can be pretty high right now, and it can be a problem. But and the other one is that these fees are in Ether, like I said just now. So what I did is I just created a way to pay any transaction fee on Ethereum with a token from your system, from your application. To do that, I used a property of smart contracts, which is that every smart contract are kind like of a user. A smart contract can do a lot of things that a user can do also, and actually on a lot of systems there is no a big difference between a smart contract and a user. And so a smart contract can do every transaction your user can do. And so the user could actually give his transaction to a smart contract, and the smart contract could actually do the transaction for him. It's not a big improvement, since if you want to have a smart contract doing something, you need to have a transaction did from your user. But yes, it's this one. Thank you. So yeah, currently, just a little step backward, this is a screen from MetaMask currently. When you want to sign a transaction, there is a lot of information. And for example, here I wanted to transfer 1 million Nexium to someone, and the cost is actually in Ether. And what we reached on our application is that for a similar transaction, the transaction fees are actually in Nexium, making the user experience far more understandable because it actually uses the token from your platform. So the smart contract can do pretty much everything a user can do with this kind of code because they have similar properties on the network. So, how do we ask a smart contract to do a transaction for you? Actually, a transaction is 5 main value. In every transaction, you need a receiver, the value of blockchain token you want to send with the transaction. Most of the time, it's 0 on Ethereum because most of the time people are actually trading tokens and no directly Ether. So a lot of time this value will be 0. The data are all information needed to buy a smart contract to actually do something. And at last you have the gas and the gas limit that will create actually the fee. The gas being the quantity of computation your transaction will trigger on the network, and the gas price being the price for each gas unit you want to pay. So the two will create your fee actually. And the last one is the nonce. It's an index to avoid that when you sign a transaction, it can't be sent 2 times on the network because each transaction you do has a new unique index. And if someone copy-pastes your transaction, it will just be discarded by the network. So the code line I just shown take care of the destination, the value, and the data. So the smart contract can actually trigger any other smart contract by this system. So if you want a smart contract to do absolutely anything on the blockchain, it can do it with this 3 value. And in my implementation, I had to add the 3 last values to be able to publish the transaction and keep the fee paid by the user and keep the index of a transaction, also to avoid for the same reason that on Ethereum, to avoid that if your user sign a transaction, it can be used twice. So, how does it work? In this system, the main user, will actually sign a kind of transaction, an object similar to a transaction containing all the field I shown before, and he passes it to an insider, someone that owns Ether, someone that is more inside the system, and the insider will actually publish the transaction on the network using Ether. And the smart contract triggered by this insider will reward the insider for the work he've done with tokens. And in the last step, the smart contract publish the actual transaction that your user wanted to do on the blockchain. So this solution is cool because it's a solution to avoid a lot of hard step from your user, like buying an Ether, and buying a token, your token, etc. Actually, there is a lot of steps for your user to reach your application. So removing the Ether will be a simplification for your for the system. But this solution is not perfect. It comes with new problematics. So the first one is that for all of this to work, that all of the belongings, all the assets of your user must be owned by a smart contract. And it's not a big problem because the smart contract can actually be triggered only by your user, but it's kind of bad because it's not really standard with the community. This is why we must, if we want to have the solution to be universal and with a lot of compatibility on the blockchain, we need to make it standard. If we want to stay decentralized with the system, the insider need to be decentralized himself. And right now, we need to write new process and new code to make it decentralized again. And it needs maybe some peer-to-peer technology to be fully decentralized. And at last, we need to publish a smart contract every time a user enters your system. And this smart contract is published at some cost. And this cost can't be directly paid by the user because the user actually the user doesn't have any Ether to publish the smart contracts. That's the whole reason of the thing. And it can't yet pay the smart contract with Ether. So there is a lot of things we can think about to solve this problem. For example, we can send token on the smart contract before publishing it. But right now, in our proof of concept at B2Expand, we used a more centralized system where we wait that the user pay for Nexium to publish the smart contract. But in the end, we should find a solution to have a fully decentralized system to make it wisely compatible. So where are we and where do we go? Right now, this whole solution is actually on testnet for our Nexarium application, which is kind of our shop for B2Expand, and you can see a live demo of this application a bit later on the exhibition stage. And right now we are only on testnet because there is a lot of challenges, like I said, to address. So we need right now to finish the proof of concept, finish all the little details to make it work on our network, at least in kind of centralized way. But after that, we will publish the code of the solution, the code of the smart contract, of course, but also the code of every process we need on the client to make it work. And after that, we will solve every challenge we currently face with the help of community, hopefully. And after all of that, maybe we'll publish an ERC to make it wisely standard on the community. So thank you everyone for listening. I see that we have a few minutes left. So if you have any question, maybe someone want to ask something, so raise your hand and maybe we can answer. Okay. Anyway, if you have a technical question or complex question, you can ask me. I'm on the place until this evening, so don't bother to ask. Thank you for listening.